Great. So, namaste everyone. Welcome to this session of Samadhanatmak Bhautikvad English translation reading. I think this must be our fourth session, Sanjeev here.
I think so. जी भैया.
Yeah, right. So this is our fourth session, and we are making slow and steady progress with the reading of this. So. mm I'll just read the last paragraph so that we have a continuity with this. Sanjeev bhaiya, I will expect you to then uh, call the people to read the paragraphs one by one, because you would
जी
have,
जी
so that
जी
the
जी.
process and the mechanism is kind of stays intact as you had earlier
नहीं
been.
नहीं, you are also doing it very well भैया. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. You have, as it is the fourth session, you have picked up the nuances of the process, but I will do it. Yeah, ठीक है.
जी भैया. So I'll just read the last paragraph and
जी
get started
जी
with the first paragraph. And
जी
so humans naturally want happiness only, even if they do not know what happiness is, they still favor it. Most people chase after pleasures and temptations in pursuit of happiness. Upon observing and analyzing this fact, it becomes evident that tradition guides individuals and or encourages to the extent it is awakened. Tradition refers to the
नमस्ते सभी को। मुझे आवाज नहीं आ रही है या किसी और को भी नहीं आ रही है?
नहीं दीदी, आवाज तो ठीक है. We are all able to hear each other. आप चेक कर लीजिए अपनी साइड पे.
I think he may not have heard.
She may not have heard this also. जी जी.
Yeah. Vanna Didi, are you able to hear us? एक बार शायद उनको मैसेज कर देना ठीक रहेगा, है ना?
देव भाई, will you write?
हाँ जी हाँ जी.
जी जी.
Okay.
Please continue. जी.
Yeah. So tradition refers to the inseparable functioning of education, sanskar, constitution, and systems. It is evident that every community adheres to some form of constitution, education, system, and sanskar. So,
जी.
so it is from this point we will actually start the next.
So we'll begin now. Shilpa Didi, will you read the first para, Hindi and English?
Normally, Rakesh Bhaiya starts, na? I don't know if he wants to do it.
No. No, he gave the
Okay.
discretion to me. So Rakesh Bhaiya, will you start?
नहीं भैया,
नहीं.
you have
I
the
think
description.
we'll leave it to Rakesh Bhaiya for the explanation part, so that.
Yeah.
Okay.
जी.
इसे इस धरती के सभी समुदायों में निरीक्षण परीक्षण करके देखा जा सकता है। इससे यह भी स्पष्ट हुआ कि उन चारों आयामों के संबंध में मानव की कर्म स्वतंत्रता कल्पनाशीलता ने सहज रूप में कार्य किया है। अभी तक किसी एक अथवा एक से अधिक समुदायों में स्थापित संविधान व्यवस्था और संस्कार सभी समुदायों के लिए स्वीकृत नहीं हो पाया। सभी समुदायों में मानव विचारशील रहे हैं। समीचीन ज्ञान विज्ञान के अनुरूप अभय और शांति सबको सुलभ होने के उद्देश्य से ही सभी संविधानों की स्थापना हुई है। प्रत्येक समुदाय अपने संविधान के अनुरूप शिक्षा, संस्कार, राज्य और धर्म व्यवस्था पाने की आशा और आकांक्षा से इसमें अर्पित होते आया है। आज भी ऐसी ही स्थितियां देखने को मिलती हैं। इस प्रकार सभी समुदायों में संविधान, शिक्षा, संस्कार, व्यवस्था संबंधी तथ्यों को सोचते हुए समुदाय चेतना से विवश होकर समस्त कार्य किए गए। फलतः वाद विवाद, विद्रोह की संभावनाएं आदिकाल से अभी तक बनी हुई है। यह समस्या विश्व मानव के सम्मुख स्पष्ट है, अर्थात समुदायों के सम्मुख स्पष्ट है। This can be observed and examined across all sects on this earth. From this, it becomes clear that human imaginativeness and freedom of action have naturally operated in relation to these four dimensions in every sect. So far, the constitutional systems and sanskars established in one or more sects have not been accepted by all communities. Thoughtful human beings have been there in all sects. All constitutions have been established with the aim of making fearlessness and peace accessible to all in
डॉक्टर ने
accordance
बोला कोई जरूरत नहीं,
with,
उसी का फ्रिज में भी रखने की जरूरत नहीं है, नॉर्मल आप जितना
with the then available knowledge and science. Each community, with the hope and aspiration of attaining education, sanskar, and systems of state and dharma in accordance with its constitution, has committed itself to it. Such conditions are observed even today. In this way, all sects, while considering matters related to constitution, education, sanskars, and systems, all actions have been carried out under the compulsion of sectarian consciousness. As a result, the possibilities of debate, dispute, treachery, and revolt have persisted from ancient times until now. This problem is clearly being faced by all human sects around the world. So here Babaji is saying that, the way society has always been, in the form of sects, and each sect has its, own system of, its own constitution, its own education system, sanskars. So, and it is not acceptable to all. Like the others are not able to accept, what this particular sect is saying. Each one has its own say. So, and this has become a problem, and this has always led to debate. There's always debate which is better. So there is dispute within the sects, amongst sects. There is treachery, revolt. So it's always been this way from ancient times till now. Ji bhaiya.
So I think it is straightforward. The main point that is being said here is that in these four dimensions, right, that talk about is constitution, education, sanskar, and systems. In every nation that we see, these four aspects are there. Now, these have been actually not have been on the basis of sectarian consciousness, that we have not had a basis of universal consciousness or human consciousness, humane consciousness. So that is the reason why we see conflict uh, at all levels in these things. So this is the present situation, and we can see its evidence in our society also. So there has been so people had tried to actually arrive at some sort of a solution that okay, uh, the values and religion are a matter of personal belief, right? And it you can actually uh, you can identify the matters of state which are separate from that, right? So secularism was actually propositioned that way. Also, many people tried to also arrive at that essentially all the religions want something good to happen, and the God cannot be different for different religion. It cannot be a Hindu God and Muslim God or Christian God. God is the same. So there is people had tried to actually find the thread of unity across these different sects, but uh, I mean, all that maximum that one could achieve was some sort of a mutual tolerance. And as we see that this mutual tolerance and secularism, um, these ideas were not really strong enough to actually hold the fabric of the nation and the world. And say, over and all, again and again, we would see that there would actually these conflicts emerging. There would be clash of civilizations, The Jews will fight against Arabs, Christians would fight against Muslims, and Muslims will fight against Hindus. Hindus would fight again between the different sects of Hinduism. There would be fights among them. So there is no basically coherence between them because somewhere there is a very rigidity in the belief on what is right and what is wrong, and uh, what is described as the reality under them is not one really. I mean, there are actually differences with them. So so people try to give certain ideals like unity under in diversity, and some sort of the ideas of multiculturalism, appreciation of diversity, and things like that. But these things have remained as ideals and have kept breaking apart. So there is a need to actually identify what is natural and what is universal, what is real. And this real and natural cannot be it cannot be a matter of belief and opinion. It has to be actual reality. So what Madhyas Darshan actually is trying to do is to make the study of human being as a reality, and uh, propose uh, these four dimensions, that constitution, education, sanskar, and systems. How can these be based on that understanding, the universal understanding, rather than sectarian understanding? So, any observation or comment on this discussion maybe we should have? This is an important thing because finally, I mean, if you look at it, there are two major ideas that have the ideologies that have come in the human history. One is the idealism, which in some senses tries to make you uh, this worldly things is secondary in some ways for that idealism, and it says that absoluteness is something which is primary. And in some parts of this, some divisions or some ideologies of some lines of thinking of this idealism actually also say that um, this whole what is apparent is actually is a illusion. Okay. So and the social systems etc that actually emerged, the four varnas and four ashram, in that actually tend to mm, suggest that one's actual ideal is moksha, or something is which needs to be the unity with that absoluteness. So to engage with the world, and in the sense that as if this is the place to live, and the evidence of understanding is in living in this world, is not something that comes out clearly from idealism. The materialism tries to say that this is the world that is there, but does not is actually gets engrossed uh, with the sensory aspect of it, right? Does not actually go beyond that. So these two ideologies have not been able to give that uh, universal basis for constitution, education, sanskar, and systems, which we are basically trying to address. Yeah, I'll just open the floor for discussion.
Actually, Rakesh, one question. I understand that these traditions. So why are traditions divided into these four dimensions: education, sanskar, constitution, and systems? What is unique about only these four dimensions? For example, um, there can be other dimensions like justice or something. See, I didn't understand the uniqueness of these four dimensions that are being considered. Rakesh? Are they
Yeah.
not just arbitrary division?
Yeah, basically, if we expand them further, so constitution actually defines whatever happens within the nation. Okay. Education is for preparing the citizens of that nation for living in the righteous manner in the nation. Sanskar is the values that the people actually have. Hmm? And systems actually has the five dimensions of the things in which, like for example, the system of justice, system of education, system of health, system of uh, what are the five things, right? The system of exchange, right? So these systems are what implement what is the intent of constitution. So these four dimensions in a way has uh, mm, captures what actually people do
Okay.
in a niche. Yeah, it's what people actually do, how humans are engaged in any nation. Yeah.
आगे बढ़ते हैं.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Renudi, would you like to read the next paragraph?
Sure.
Ji, please. Maybe you can, one is only a couple of sentences,
Yes,
so you
sir.
can read the next paragraph also along.
ओके. उक्त समस्या के कारण तत्वों का निरीक्षण परीक्षण किया गया. इसका उत्तर यही मिला कि मानव ने मूलतः मानव को पहचानने में सह अस्तित्व रूपी परम सत्य को समझने में ही भूल किया है. इस पृथ्वी पर सर्वप्रथम मानव के अवतरण समय को जंगल युग अथवा शिलायुग का नाम दिया गया है. सर्वप्रथम एक से अधिक मानव अवतरित हुए ऐसा माना गया है. इसका कारण मानव की कल्पनाशीलता के अनुसार एक से अधिक नर नारी होने से ही मानव परंपरा में प्रजनन कार्य संभव है. इस क्रम में सर्वप्रथम इस धरती पर एक से अधिक मानव अवतरित हो गए. सबसे पहले किस प्रकार के मानव का अवतरण संभव हुआ, इस बात के लिए तमाम कल्पनाएं होती हैं. किसी का सोचना बंदर, किसी का सोचना भालू, किसी का सोचना मछली, किसी का सोचना गाय. ये सब कल्पनाएं की जा सकती हैं. यह सहज रूप में पाया गया है कि वनस्पतियों में अनेक बीज परंपराएं किसी एक परंपरा के बाद ही स्थापित हुई है और जीवों में किसी एक वंश परंपरा के अनंतर ही अनेक वंश परंपराएं स्थापित हुई हैं. इस क्रम में वंश सूत्र का परंपरा में ही होने वाले अनुसंधान अर्थात अनुकूल परिस्थितियों का उन्नतोन्नत रूप में व्यक्त करने के क्रम में किया गया सहज प्रयास ही है. इसी क्रम में मानव प्रजाति का अवतरण कोई भी जीव योनि मूलक आई रीड इट अगेन. इसी क्रम में मानव प्रजाति का अवतरण कोई भी जीव योनि मूलक विधि से मानव का होना संभव है जिसमें समृद्ध मेदस रचना का प्रावधान परंपरा में रहते आया हो. इस मुद्दे पर कितना भी सूक्ष्म अध्ययन करें, वह सारा अध्ययन शरीर रचना के ही संबंध में हो पाएगा. शरीर रचना मानव परंपरा में अपने ही स्वरूप में संपन्न हो ही रहा है. शरीर का संपूर्ण उपयोग जीवन की अभिव्यक्ति जागृति का प्रमाणीकरण के लिए माध्यम है. मानव परंपरा में इसकी आवश्यकता है. अस्तु मानव का इतिहास आदि मानव से होना सहज है. Bhaiya, you want me to read the English one along with it?
Yeah. Bhaiya,
Can you scroll down?
जी, जी.
Upon investigating the root cause of these problems, it was found that humankind has erred in recognizing true human nature and understanding the ultimate truth of coexistence. The time when humans first appeared on Earth is often referred to as the Jungle Age or Stone Age. It is believed that multiple humans appeared from the outset. with the idea arising from the understanding that reproductive activity in human tradition requires the presence of more than one man and woman. The origin of the first human has prompted various hypotheses. Some think they descended from monkeys, others from bears, fish, or cows. Numerous conjectures can be made on this matter. It has been discovered that in the plant world, many seed traditions followed the establishment of a single tradition. Similarly, in the animal world, the establishment of one species tradition preceded the establishment of many species tradition. This resulted from the species' natural endeavors to manifest themselves in a more advanced manner. It is plausible that the human species emerged from an animal species with the provision for a developed brain. No matter how detailed a study undertaken on this matter, its focus will remain only on bodily structure. The formation of the body occurs naturally in the human tradition, serving as a medium for the expression of Jivan and the manifestation of its awakening. This is integral to the needs of human tradition. Therefore, the history of humans commences with primitive humans.
Will you?
I'll try because I
please.
think he's given a lot in this paragraph. The first thing, I think he's dispelling that myth about how we have imagined what is our origins, and he brings it down to that space of that. Okay, now I'm just kind of trying to capture my thoughts. Let me not go by the paragraph. I'll tell you what I've got from it. Yeah. So what I understood from this is, So basically, human beings came together, and it started on a premise of that the tradition of human being can go on only when there is more than one human being. So when human being came together, because reproductiveness happens only then. And another important point that he makes is that that the continuation of any species is whether it's in plants. So so let's say only when a plant reached its optimum stage of existence, then the subspecies developed. And then there was a continuity of that tradition. Same way with the animals. And then he brings it down to humans as well, where human beings, the Jivan, the manifestation of a human body happened because Jivan had to have a body to express itself through a very developed brain, which happened in a human being, in the structure of body of the human being, which was not possible in a monkey or a bear or anything else. This I'm conjecturing. So therefore, we can say that the history of human being is is it's from primitive humans and not from the bear or the fish or anything like that. I think that there is a thing of the Darwinian theory, maybe the development of the physical body from then to now. No. Okay, this is what I have to say. Sorry.
No, I think that is it's nicely explained. So basically, in this kind of concludes this chapter also. If we see this chapter, this the resolution and duality, here he basically talks of that the we've tried to understand the nature, and the nature actually has been understood in the form of having duality and inherent conflict. Then he says that actually the reality is not that. Reality is actually there is harmony within and harmony outside. Okay. And humans are also in the same way. Now, in this process, he basically leads us to the point when the history of humans begins. So after the emergence, how the emergence of different orders took place, right? and then basically how the humans came about, the genesis of humans. So he concurs with the idea that humans actually emerged from animals, right? But he says that it's possible that they may have come. We can conjecture that they may have come from uh, uh, more than one kind of species, right? This is different from the scientific standpoint, which seems to be suggesting that they emerged from only monkeys or the apes, right? So, so that is one thing. And second thing that is being said is that this evolution has not happened out of struggle, but it has emerged out of after the success of one order is established, the need for the next order, for the next more evolved order, which basically builds on it, can be gets established, and that emerges and becomes established in the form of tradition. So, so हम लोग इस we had actually talked about uh, the word pratishtha in our last uh,
Yes.
session. So first the pran pratishtha happens, right, in the biological order, right, and then जीने की आशा की प्रतिष्ठा or the hope to live, right, this, that actually happens in the animal order, right. Then after that, the want of happiness, सुख की चाहना, uski pratishtha, that happens in the human being. Also the faculty of kalpanashilta and karma swatantrata, imaginativeness and freedom of action, they also get established with the coming of humans. After that, he says that one more pratishtha is necessary in humans, that is Gyan Pratishtha, that they basically are able to understand the world around themselves and their own selves, so that they can live in a definite conduct, with a definite conduct. So that would be called Gyan Pratishtha, right? So he says that basically this world that we see around us is actually orderly, and uh, it is in a step by step, in a progressive manner. इसको अनुक्रम नाम दिया, that it is basically uh, it is coexistence. There is no driver in this, but there is a uh, it has a successive uh, emergence towards completeness. So, any observations or comments on this are welcome.
अच्छा भैया, जो ये वाला पार्ट था जिसमें where they were he was talking about only after the success of it was one species meant one order, not like let's say with trial and error of different seeds and all. Finally, one seed of let's say eggplant became established, then the different subspecies developed. It wasn't that. He was talking about orders.
Yes,
Okay.
he says that it doesn't happen by trial and error. He
Oh,
says
it
he
doesn't
says
happen
that
by trial.
there are actually definite stages in the uh, emergence, in the evolution. Each stage, when it becomes fulfilled, then the next stage actually emerges out of it. So it doesn't happen out of trial and error and struggle.
So when I say trial and error, I meant by different combinations are taking place, and then it reaches a stage of, okay, this is what it is. It's not like that, you're saying.
Yeah, it's not like that. It says that there are actually like for example, the emergence of humans is not a chance. It's a definitiveness. Like
Hmm.
emergence of plants is not a chance. That uh, formation of a cell from the basic building blocks of molecules uh,
Hmm.
is not a chance. So he's basically saying that there is a purpose and directionality in nature, and definite stages, निश्चित यथास्थितियां हैं, है ना? So that is the basic argument that he is building, that uh, existence, सत्ता में संपृक्त प्रकृति, nature saturated in omnipotence, is actually purposeful, has a directionality, and has definite stages. And it basically is moving into that direction.
Yes, I mean, one thing also I understood was this integration of observer seems to be the key, like we discussed last time, I guess. So, and then the human is the only one who can understand this order that is emerging, and he is witnessing it, and we need to just not study the material just as a utility, but to understand how it is linked to our understanding and resolution. I think that's the key thing that I would take away from this chapter, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, that is true. And also we need to see that the observer needs to be in a stable state to see the observed reality is observed in a correct fashion. Like if the observer is disturbed, then the observation will also be disturbed. So the observer uh, is the entity which is the conscious entity. The conscious entity, if the conscious entity is disturbed or is in the state of delusion, then their observation is also going to be incorrect. Is going to be actually it's going to impose the conflict that they have onto the observation also. So he says that for the darshan to happen, the observer needs to be in the state of mediativeness or madhyasth to be able to actually make correct observations uh, of the reality. So this madhyas darshan is actually is the observation made from this state of centeredness, which is not biased of some or visham, right? It is actually from the state of absolute centeredness, right? So observer is the human being. Observed reality is the existence all around. And when the observed observer is actually in the state of mediativeness, then the observation becomes correct.
But Bhaiya, for that logic, then if that is the thing, then today what we observe,
Yeah,
it's not really uh, really understanding of the reality as it is, because at some
that
level or
is,
the other we are
yeah,
awake.
that is the reason हम लोग जो अध्ययन की परिभाषा में है, अनुभव की रोशनी में, अधिष्ठान के साक्षी में. So there is both the things are there. We actually need to understand in the light of somebody who is seeing the reality in the absolute sense, right? If we actually make the observation from our present shaken this thing, we will actually also see the reality also uh, in that way only.
That way.
So, though we are reading the books and it is in a way Adishtan ki Roshni, but there is no one to correct or tell us whether what I'm perceiving is right or not. There is a scope of understanding it wrong, though what we are reading is the truth, as Baba has written there.
No, as I understand, see, we are in the omnipresence, satta, right? So that is a common ground. So, I mean, if you do deep enough, I guess you will understand everything. But so in this omnipresence, we can come to an understanding, I guess. I mean, that's a unifying glue kind of a thing, right? I mean, based on
Yeah,
which, yeah.
so there are two ways in which basically you can achieve that absoluteness and then observe. One is that you actually silence all the chatter, silence all the uh, ac- activities of the mind, and then actually observe the reality from first principles. Okay, which is what Babaji has done. Okay, so he actually attained the state of samadhi, and then after that, he actually put his जिज्ञासा about कि भ्रम से मिथ्या कैसे पैदा हो गया. If you look at it in the positive way, he actually wanted to say, what is the purpose of this world? What is the purpose of human being? That is how this question actually unfolds, right? So then he basically looked at, okay, if this okay, this uh, the stone is there, is stone a reality? What is the reality? He actually has this in the state of Sanyam. He has actually analyzed all of nature and and prepared a holistic view of the world, right? Which is what this darshan is. And this basically led to a fulfillment of buddhi, the first orbit of Jivan, which basically is the place in Jivan which actually accepts accepts the order in the world. And that is what led to the realization or anubhav in his atma. And with in that state of anubhav, he actually was able to then see the reality with its completeness, right? So basically and realize that completeness with all the four dimensions, roop, gun, swabhav, dharma. He was able to see with that reality. Now what he is saying is that one person who has understood the reality from that standpoint, it is possible to actually interpret that understanding. It is possible to articulate that understanding in words, and uh, and put forward that understanding for education of the rest of the world, so that they do not need to silence their faculties of thought. Instead, they can actually direct their imagination towards what is being said, and then based on in the light of that, they will also lead to a comprehension of the reality or the understanding of the reality, and will achieve anubhav or the realization. So that is actually the essential idea of his. Yeah.
Hmm. Another question that was coming when you talked about that there is a, it's not a trial and error, there is a definite process.
Right.
So, Vikas Kram, Vikas, Jagriti Kram, Jagriti, that is the definite order I'm understanding.
Yeah.
But within the Jagriti Kam, has Baba ever anywhere else given the details of what would be those smaller definite steps or no?
Like basically in the state of Jagrati Kram, until there is a guidance, uh, one is bound to make trial and errors. Okay.
Hmm.
So what he says is that under the guidance, you do not make trial and errors. It becomes a padyati, where you go step by step. That here is bhas, abhas, pratiti, anubhuti. There is a path. But until there is no one actually who is ahead of you, who is able to see that, okay, I have come this way, I can actually show you the path. Then one is bound to actually make trial and errors, because humans make progress only through making decisions. And in the absence of realization, they will actually make decisions based on whatever ideas that they actually get for what lies ahead, right?
Yeah, I get it. Thank you.
We can move to the next chapter now.
जी भैया.
I just want to share one understanding quickly.
Mhm.
I think somewhere we mentioned about ancestors and all. So science or Darwin, who can be referred as someone synonymous to evolutionary biology, never said that humans came from or descended from monkeys. In fact, he never named any ancestors of humans.
Mhm.
So, so I don't know
Yeah.
where this monkey thing is coming from. Actually.
Yeah, but if you look at it, they maybe Darwin himself did not say that, but if you look at it, when they explain evolution, then they do say that humans evolved from animals, and they talk about apes and the super apes, right? And then they say that how they basically descended from trees and started walking erect, and then that is how basically evolution is explained. Yeah, we can maybe explore this thing a little more. Yeah.
यहाँ एक पॉइंट क्लियर करना था सॉरी ये जो इसमें द लास्ट लाइन वेर ही टॉक्स अबाउट द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द बॉडी sorry, before that, no matter how detailed the study undertaken on this matter, its focus will remain only on bodily structure. This he's saying in context of the science that is going on, wanting to go deeper into understanding the origins of human being. Is he saying in that context? And therefore, he's then mentioning that actually the formation of the body occurs very naturally in human tradition because it's a medium for the expression of jivan and the
Right.
management. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
that
the
is correct.
definition. Okay, all right. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
So we come to the next chapter. So the we last chapter he brought us to the that history brought us to the point where the history of humans begins. Now this chapter that we have come to is the history of humans. That how we have it is from the vantage point of Jagrati or the awakening that it is trying to see how humans have reached to the point where they are. Now he has actually looked at uh, the human history from many angles. Okay, whether in terms of their ideological history, in terms of how they lived in different in the form of groups and sects, what is their uh, uh, how they actually uh, what kind of economics or what kind of earth vyavastha that they had in the from the time of jungle ages till up the time that they have reached now. So it's important that we basically have the an account of uh, from the point of emergence of human beings on earth till the point where we have reached, so that we have an understanding of what are the events. So this is a very big history. If you look at it, human history might be how many lakhs of years? 20 lakh years? Yeah. Anyone has an idea? I think 2 lakhs,
I
20
think
lakhs.
there are human history. I don't know.
As in, like
Yeah,
modern humans, Homo
60,000 years and 2 lakh years. These are the two numbers I hear from different quarters. Devbhai?
No.
Homo sapiens we are talking about, right? Approximately 3 lakh years old. So
Okay.
Yeah, so 2 3 lakhs years is what we are basically talking about human history. So from the time when they lived, initially started living like animals, and from there, they, because of their faculty of imagination and freedom of action, their living actually has evolved in the course of time. Right? They started living differently from animals, distinctly differently from animals. Right? So, so here is, so I think this is a very interesting account, what from Babaji's perspective, right? Which we can now read. Yeah.
Yeah. So that history of 200,000 or 300,000 years, now we'll try to see how the author has covered it in 15 pages.
Yeah.
Okay. So, जी, Niru Didi, will you like to read the first paragraph?
भैया आज रीड नहीं कर पाऊंगी मैं।
Okay, no problem. Ganesh Bhaiya, will you like to read?
Yes, we.
जी,
Good morning,
जी,
everyone.
जी.
Yes. सामुदायिक इतिहास, ह्यूमन हिस्ट्री ऑफ सेक्टेरियन लिविंग। उक्त प्रकार से आदि मानव ने एक स्थान अथवा देश में शरीर यात्रा प्रारंभ किया या एक से अधिक देश अथवा स्थान में आरंभ किया। यह प्रश्न मानव को सोचने के लिए बाध्य करता है। इसका सत्य सहज उत्तर है कि आदिकाल में एक परिवार ने दूसरे परिवार को नस्ल के आधार पर पहचाना। यही पहली और ऐतिहासिक भूल या घटना हुई। आज हमें यह ज्ञात है कि नस्ल का आधार भौगोलिक नैसर्गिक परिस्थितियां हैं। रंग का आधार भी भौगोलिक नैसर्गिक परिस्थितियां हैं। पूजा एवं प्रार्थनाएं कल्पनाशीलता के आधार पर निर्मित हुई। साधना का आधार श्रेष्ठता की अपेक्षा निष्ठा पर रहा। धर्म कहलाने वाले सभी प्रक्रियाएं सामुदायिक शासन, नियंत्रण और आश्वासन पर निर्भर रही। इसके लिए आज यही सोचा जा सकता है कि मानव की जागृति मानव के संबंध में नस्ल तक ही रही। इसका प्रकाशन लड़ाई के रूप में हुआ, अर्थात एक परिवार दूसरे परिवार को नस्ल रंग के आधार पर क्रूर जीव जंतु मानकर लड़ लिया। फलस्वरूप नस्ल के आधार पर सामुदायिक चेतना अर्थात अपना पराया वाली सीमाएं बनती रही। In the manner stated above, whether the bodily journey of the early humans began in one place or in multiple places is a question that compels reflection. The natural answer is that in the earliest times, one family identified another on the basis of race, this being the first and the historical error. It is now understood that both race and color are grounded in geographical and natural conditions. Worship and prayer arose from imagination, while sadhana rested on steadfastness rather than any expectation of superiority. All that came to be termed as religious activities remained dependent on communal governance, control, and assurance. Thus, human awakening remained confined to race, and its expression appeared in the form of conflict. One family perceiving another as cruel beings on the basis of race and color engaged in fighting. Consequently, distinctions of one's own and the other continued to arise on the basis of race, giving rise to sectarian consciousness. Yes, Priya. So basically, what I am understanding from this paragraph is that it is written that how the people met initially, they appeared in the form of different kind of families coming or meeting each other on the basis of race. And this is the major error Babaji is saying, that they are recognizing each other as a different race on the basis of color, on the basis of other traditions, based on geographical and natural conditions. And because of that, worship and prayer also came from the imagination instead of the existential reality. Now, these religious activities depended again on communal governance, control, and assurance. And this we can see today also. Today, the situation is same. since its origin, and today what we see is this is based on ओनली ऑन द रिलीजियस एक्टिविटीज, अपना पराया की परंपरा जिसको बाबा जी कह रहे हैं, वो ट्रेडिशनली जिस तरह से शुरू हुई आज भी वो परंपरा बनी हुई है. दैट द सेम ट्रेडिशन ऑफ एंड दिस बिकेम द बेसिस ऑफ फाइट्स आल्सो. They are of different race, I am of different race, so that has the reason, the origin, and the consequent effect as on today we can see. And this is based on race and sectarian consciousness has arise because of that. तो जीवन ने जो अभी तक की परंपरा में रहा, अपने आप को एक वर्ग में ही अपने आप को जागृत करने की और उसी वर्ग को आगे बढ़ाने की तक ही सीमित. So this is what I am able to get from this particular paragraph. Yes, bhai.
Yeah, so it's very good. I think you have explained it very well. So it's basically trying to say, going to the very origin of humans, that okay, how the humans first started recognizing one another. So initially their consciousness, their thought process was not developed. It's not that humans, when they first appeared on earth, okay, that they were pure, they were not having any uh, defilements. They are saying that humans actually at that time did not have, were actually seeing one another as another kind of animals, and they actually recognized based on their physical appearances only, and their thought process also developed based on that. So, and if you look at it, the racial division actually has its roots right from that time of 2 lakh years or more, right? So racial divisions that are there, it's not a very, it's a very deep rooted belief that is it's lying in actually recognizing how humans recognized one another based on their color of their skin. And there he is actually trying to highlight is that it was a first and a historical error, right, that actually happened. Hmm. But I would say this error was inevitable because they didn't have any scope of actually developing their thought and developing actually understanding. There must be some links uh, to for a human being to reach the stage of understanding that actually uh, the aspect of thought is not linked to the body, right? And it is possible that a thought can reach its point of fulfillment of awakening, right? So that it requires so that is the journey of human being. That is the history of human being, if you look at it. What he's saying is that because of that, rec- recognizing one another as body or the based on the body, it led to sectarian consciousness. Along with that, also started certain practices of worshipping and prayer. Okay, साधना पद्धतियां भी विकसित होने लगी. And that actually, so while sadhana padhati or the way to recognize the absolute was not to actually gain dominance over something, but the prayer and other practices, they actually rose from the imagination, right? And also the practices of what is religious and what is not religious, what how to put tilak or how to whether to wear cross or what kind of symbols that we actually have to denote our to which basically uh, identify our associations, right? So this is something that rose into that developed because of imagination. And as these became more and more rigid, then the fights between them also became uh, another thing that we started seeing in humans, right, which was not there in animals. Animals don't fight based on symbols, right? They may fight based on the way they appear or what their nature, but they don't fight based on the ideas. Right? So we see that basically how uh, the roots of sectarian consciousness is actually very, very deep and it's very historical. To uproot them, we will need to actually understand the distinction of Jivan and body. Unless we are very clear uh, and have understood that very clearly, we will not be able to actually come out of it. Hmm? Yeah. Anyone
Very
wants to
nice.
make any comments?
Mm,
This,
mm.
I think it is fairly.
Straightforward, yeah. We
Yeah,
can move
very-
to the next. जी. Sheila Didi, will you like to read the next paragraph?
नहीं भैया आई एम
No problem, no problem. Vandana Didi, what about you? Okay. Devbhai, will you read the next para?
जी भैया
Maybe you can read the next two smaller paragraphs and that will complete this section of Samudayik Itihas.
okay, I'm sometimes coughing, so I'll try. Uh,
Nitu, I can read. Sorry, I was not able to unmute that time.
अच्छा,
हाँ,
Acha, okay.
okay, please
Ji
let me
Vandana
हाँ,
Didi,
there,
please,
there.
thank you.
please,
हाँ.
please.
दूसरी
So
बार
you can read both the paragraphs which we can see on screen.
या श्योर भैया.
Ji Didi.
दूसरी बार भिन्न भिन्न रंगों के मानव देखने को मिले. उसी के आधार पर एक दूसरे को मार काट करने वाले मानकर झगड़ा कर लिए. फलस्वरूप परिवारों में अथवा समुदायों में भिन्न भिन्न रंग और नस्ल की दीवारें पनपती आई. इस प्रकार ये दोनों रंग और नस्ल मान्यताएं परंपरा में कटुता, द्रोह, विद्रोह प्रवृत्ति को पनपाती रही. On the subsequent occasion, human beings of different colors were encountered. On that very basis, taking one another to be violent, they entered into conflict. Consequently, wars based on color and race continued to develop among families and sects. Thus, though these two accepted beliefs, color and race, have continued to nurture tendencies of bitterness, treachery, and revolt within human traditions. तीसरी बार पुनः मानव को पूजा, अर्चना, योग, साधना, उपासना के आधार पर पहचानने की कोशिश हुई. यह भी पूर्ववर्ती दो प्रकार से भूलों जैसी ही हुई. मतभेद, वाद विवाद के आधार पर पहले जैसे ही द्रोह विद्रोह होते रहे. चौथी बार पुनः वस्तु संग्रह, सुविधा और भोग के आधार पर एक दूसरे समुदायों को पहचानने की कोशिश हुई. इसमें द्रोह विद्रोह के साथ शोषण भी प्रखरता से शामिल हो गया. युद्ध तो पहले से ही रहा. इस प्रकार मानव विविध समुदाय प्रेरित होकर ही एक दूसरे को नकारने सकारने के तरीकों से समस्याओं को तौलता ही रहा. यह समुदाय चेतना का एक इतिहास है. The third attempt to identify human being on the basis of worship, archana, yoga, sadhana, and upasana. This too was of the same nature as the earlier two errors, and differences leading to debate continued to give rise to treachery and revolt as before. A fourth attempt followed, wherein the community sought to identify one another on the basis of accumulation of goods, convenience, and indulgence here. Along with treachery and revolt, exploitation became pronounced, while warfare was already being present. Thus, driven to diverse sectarian motivations, human beings continue to evaluate problems through ways of accepting and rejecting one another, This is the history of sectarian consciousness. Here, what Babaji is trying to say is, like as the earlier two, the third, we tried three more methods. The first was on the basis of color, and we thought that the different in colors led to different the characteristics of different humans. Maybe the other one was more violent, and that led to sex. The third, he said that we try to differentiate different between humans was on the basis how they do their prayers, how on the basis of the way they do their worships or the yoga, sadhana and all. This too led to the same thing, that is treachery and revolt. The fourth attempt that was made within the communities was the identification how much wealth or how much goods, how much convenience one group had. This also led to treachery and revolt and also to exploitation. And since there was already war around us, this all led to war only. The human beings have developed in the sense that we've tried four different methods to come to see how the other person is, and all of that has led to treachery and revolt. जी भैया.
बहुत बढ़िया दीदी. So if you see that basically humans from the time when they emerged on earth, they are actually trying to come together, right? So the drive and directionality has not been division. It is the directionality has been to come together. But because they did not have the basis of coming together, which is universal, it led to sectarian consciousness. First, they tried to come together on the basis of race. Then they tried to come together basis on skin color. Then they tried to come together based on the basis of the way they actually worship. Uh, and then finally, they try to come together based on the lifestyle. Or, I mean, we already see that this is what is the mostly more prevalent. We have the housing societies where people of a certain living level, certain financial capability are actually living closely, right? And the people who are not having that financial status are outside of that community, of that community. So that is basically, if you look at it, and the idea is to actually seek comfort and togetherness, neighborhood, and mutual support. That has been the driving factor. But in the absence of universal understanding, the solutions that we are actually arriving at are leading to sectarian consciousness, and which is actually not a solution, because if, sooner or later it leads to um, conflicts, right? Or the conflicts keep simmering. It emerges off and on, right?
Um, भैया, इधर the very first point when we आपने बोला the drive was to come together from the beginning.
Yes. Yes.
But when we look at the very first mistake that was made, how did the drive show up there? I can see today when I see lifestyle or ways of worship that finally everybody is wanting to do the same thing, only then you belong. So I get a proof of that, yes, the drive was there to come together. But in the first one, since they saw them as race, how does one identify that drive was actually to come together?
No,
Was it
but
that?
the people of the same race came together, right?
Oh, did they? I thought they kept seeing each other as other animals or species and they kept fighting. That's what it said, no, earlier in the paragraph.
But animals of the same species flock together, right? They in the same way, like humans actually lived together. Even the ancient humans, they were not isolated peoples, loners. They actually herded together.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get it. So you mean
So
who looked like them or they who was the same race? There was an
yeah,
inclusion of those, but who looked different, then
yeah, yeah, because they identified, they actually had the drive for cohesion, but they saw cohesion only with their own race and
right.
with their own color. and then with the people who actually bowed to the same god, right? And then the people who had the same lifestyle or the basically economic status.
Yes, yes, exactly. Thank you.
So next section, Devbhai, will you read? I think we can cover this in one go. This Shilava Dhatu Yug. It's a small section only.
Bhaiya, can I skip? Give it a skip,
Yeah.
please? I am just coughing after
Okay.
every line.
No problem. No problem. Who else will volunteer? Someone new who has not read today.
Raghava, can you do this time?
Let me try राकेश in हिंदी. Okay.
Yeah.
दूसरी इतिहास जंगल युग के शील युग से धातु युग, धातु युग से दास युग, आदर्शवादी विचार तथा दास युग से संघर्ष युग जो आज वर्तमान है. The second historical perspective traces humankind's progression from the jungle age to the stone age, from the stone age to the iron age, from the iron age to the submission age, the age of idealism, and from the submission age to the age of struggle, which is present till date. शील और जंगल में मानव प्राकृतिक प्रकोप और क्रूर जानवरों से प्रधान रूप से भयभीत ही रहा. जैसे ही काबिल एवं ग्राम युग आया, वैसे ही एक समुदाय दूसरे समुदाय से भयभीत होते रहा. जैसे ही दास युग आया, वैसे ही ईश्वर राज और गुरु के प्रति
नतमस्तक. We can actually
नतमस्तक होने की परंपरा चली.
I'll read the Hindi version for you. We are doing that
Yes.
for Mohan Bhai and Spencer also.
I can also read, Bhaiya.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it was good to listen to Mohan Bhai reading Hindi. It was so sweet.
Yeah, but very nice try, Raghava.
Yeah.
So I'll just read the next two lines and then maybe
Yeah,
you can
sure.
read the English one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
सो जैसे ही दास युग आया, वैसे ही ईश्वर राजा और गुरु के प्रति नतमस्तक होने की परंपरा चली. राजा से प्रजा को सुख चैन का आश्वासन मिलते रहा. धर्म ग्रंथों, दर्शनों एवं विचारों के आधार पर, पाप अज्ञान स्वार्थ से मुक्त होने के आश्वासन के आधार पर दास युग को स्वीकारा गया. इसके बावजूद द्रोह विद्रोह युद्ध कहीं नहीं रुका.
Okay. So during the stone and the jungle ages, humans were primarily fearful of natural calamities and wild animals. With the advent of the clan and the village age, communities began to fear each other. As the submission age emerged, the tradition of bowing to God, the monarch, and the guru became established. The people were assured of peace and comfort by the monarch. The submission age was accepted based on assurances of liberation from sin, ignorance, and selfishness as promised in the religious scriptures, philosophies, and ideologies. Despite this, treacheries, revolts, and wars continued. Hindi, please. Yeah. इसके
Yeah, no, if we can, maybe you may want to explain. Acha, you want to, Sanjeev Bhaiya, you want to see
I thought we can cover this and then discuss it in entirety.
Okay, I'll read the Hindi one. इसके उपरांत जैसे ही भौतिकवादी युग विज्ञान और तकनीकी पूर्वक यंत्र प्रमाण सहित आया, वैसे ही संघर्ष युग का लोकव्यापीकरण होना आरंभ हुआ. इस युग की मूलभूत बात सुविधा संग्रह और भोग है. फलस्वरूप पहले ग्राम कबीले में मानव में निहित अमानवीयता का भय जितना बना रहा, उससे कहीं अधिक दास युग में रहा. आज संघर्ष युग में मानव में निहित अमानवीयता का भय सर्वाधिक हो गया है। इसी के साथ प्राकृतिक भय और जीव भय इस युग में अन्य युगों की अपेक्षा कम हुआ है।
Okay, so following this era, the onset of materialism, driven by science and technology and validated by machines, ushered in the struggle age. The fundamental aspects of this age were accumulation, comfort, and indulgence. The fear in inhumanness in humans was more pronounced in the submission age than in the village clan age. In the current struggle age, the fear of inhumanness has reached its peak, even as fears of natural disasters and wild animals have diminished compared to earlier ages. Okay. So, in this section, various stages from Stone Age to the current age have been classified. So various, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's all I could get from here. And, uh, and yeah.
Right. So as Raghua said, that this basically describes the very
Going on.
Renudi's mic is on. Okay. So, so basically, what we are saying here is that the different eras that happened in the human history, it basically tries to outline that. Uh, so from Stone Age to Jungle Age to Stone Age to Iron Age to Submission Age, the age of idealism, and then from Submission Age to the age of struggle. So I think it is fairly straightforward that jungle age, what it was when we were living like animals, then stone age when they started identifying stones as tools and living in the caves. And then after that, iron age when we discovered certain tools, right? And basically uh, we and for hunting, etc. And from Iron Age to the Submission Age. Submission Age is an interesting thing that actually is the word, the Das Yug. And it is also called the Age of Idealism. So he says that that was the time when the consciousness of human actually became this way, that there is a need for them to actually obey. Okay, the obedience is necessary for orderliness, and for this basically there needs to be power centers that were identified, that okay, you need to bow towards the monarch or the king, and that you need to bow towards the god, you need to bow towards the guru, right? So typically in all the religion, all the organized beliefs, faiths, they are actually uh, trying to uh, build some sort of uh, uh, obedience and submission of humans towards ideal or towards icon, and so that they can actually there is no idea over there of self-governance or being having the confidence in self. Instead, the faith is there to actually uh, to show them there is a higher power, right, which we you need to actually turn towards for getting your wishes granted, to stay protected, and in the time of grief to cry in front of them. So these were that is the basic idea, whether in Christianity or in Hinduism, or so basically the faith or the belief system that is there is to actually make them submit to some higher authority. Okay. And then after that, somewhere that got challenged. The science and technology were in the times of, they actually challenged that, science and the progress in science and technology actually happened at the time when they rejected these uh, uh, this ideological submission. ये जो वैचारिक दासत्व है, व्यवहारिक दासत्व है ना, इन चीजों को मतलब दे वांटेड टू, दे रिवोल्टेड अगेंस्ट दिस स्लेवरी और द सबमिशन, and instead they promoted free thinking and observation uh, uh, of the realities in terms of how they are perceived, right? So and then basically gave rise to the struggle, because then if you are seeing the reality only in terms of how it is perceived through senses, then it becomes a matter of struggle, because you are actually putting behind the conscious powers are being put behind in uh, are basically put for something which is limited, right? That basically gives the basic idea of struggle. The struggle actually happens because the higher power is put for the service of lower ends. That is the basic idea of struggle, and it gets manifested in the way people organize themselves, people are uh, uh, the goals that they pursue, and so on and so forth. So the in the age of struggle, the goal becomes comfort and accumulation, and for more and more comfort and accumulation, the struggle becomes necessary. So if we look at it, we are seeing that from the historical perspective, how humans have come to the age of struggle, which is present until today. Okay. So,
भैया
And a nice way of, I mean, a different way of organizing, right? We say from Stone Age to the Space Age, where it's the age of progress of all materials and knowledge. We started from we discovered fire, we discovered circle, I mean, we discovered instruments, we discovered agriculture. So it is generally looked on as a age of progress that we have made from Stone Age to current Space Age. But now here it is being classified in a different way. Here it is saying that okay, from fear we came to submission, from submission to struggle. A different way of characterizing the history. Yeah, I mean a different way. Yeah, nice.
nice.
यस भैया आई वाज सेइंग दैट दास युग के लिए जो हमने हिस्ट्री में वर्ड पढ़ा था द वर्ड वाज स्लेव एज
Yeah,
हियर यू आर यूजिंग सबमिशन एज
yeah. See, if you look at slave age, is used in the context of history, Indian history, where the slaves in the time of Alauddin Khilji and uh, the slaves, there were a time when the slaves actually ruled the in Indian Empire, right? So starting from what was what was the name of that guy? Yeah. So so while what it is I initially I was also using the word age of slavery, but it's not. It is more than it is not slavery really. If you look at it, when we are uh, uh, doing submitting towards the guru, it's not that you become the slave of the guru, or when you are making submission, you are submitting towards the god, it does not that you become slave of the god, but the whole idea is that there is an idea of submission to a higher authority that actually is cultivated through faith, that okay, you are not capable enough to actually handle your life. So, therefore, uh, bow towards that authority and seek their guidance and accept their control. That is something uh, pretty much in all the religions and in all the places, they actually developed that methodology. Wherever the systematic thinking actually civilizations developed from, they actually developed in the way that civilized people need to have faith and they need to fear God. Hmm. So that is how basically, or it's a benevolent God. It's a good God who takes care of you. And when you actually fall into trouble, you can go to that place to actually cry and seek relief. Hmm. So that is how basically this system was developed. So I'm open for any
No, you
other
you are
thoughts.
very rightly you have explained, and it not only covers that particular das yug, rather it is covering the submission to the god, and like it is mentioned here that a person will get assurance from liberation from sin and so I can say that this submission is age is still continued. We are still in that particular age where people are
Yes.
yes.
In fact,
ठीक.
our constitution also, in a way, basically says that constitution is supreme. You need to submit to the constitution. You cannot oppose the government official who are given the authority to actually check on you, right? So those things are there. So there is so the constitution actually, what Babaji say, is a power centric rule only. It tries to define the mechanisms how this power centric rule is going to be. It's not about how the people going to be self governed. It is about how, and the word is also there, जैसे सत्ता का हस्तांतरण बोलते हैं. We also say that the power is going to be transferred, say from the, for example, from TMC to BJP, or vice versa. So we say that the power is in the hands of few, and the general public is supposed to actually finally be governed by them, right? So that is how it is there. So in the age of monarchy, the there was a very clear this thing, but here now the public representative has been given the right to rule the world, rule the nation. The idea remains the same.
So Bhaiya, I'm seeing there is a kind of a progression from one to the other, and as we go to the submission part, I feel
Hmm.
the remnants of it is continuing even in the age of struggle because, as you said about the constitution, I was also thinking that earlier it was maybe submission also to the higher, the benevolent God, as you said. But
Hmm.
today, that God has become, in a way, science because we submit to science. Everything has to be proof worthy and then we
Hmm.
believe it. So I'm wondering where this again, the teleological urge is taking us towards. So submission in itself is not really a bad word, but submission to Gyan then, to
Yes.
understanding. That's where we are heading. And but in that progression towards Gyan, how would the struggle part fit in?
If you look at it, the submission, so there is a progression, right? There is a progression towards awakening. And awakening is not submission, awakening is liberation. Liberation because you basically become self-governed. So in the submission age, it became the faith or control of certain authority was there. In the age of science, what happened is that they actually challenged those authority of church and the so-called pandits and karmkand, etc. They said we will not believe all these things. We will actually believe only what is experimentally proven, right? So it became as a challenge of that oppressive submission, right? But it became it led to certain pursuit of material well-being. Okay. And that led to the struggle, and also a different kind of hierarchy actually they emerged between the rich and the poor. The difference between the rich and the poor, the societal imbalance that actually it created. It also created a, sense of emptiness in within one individual. So there is the authority that we have that actually became it became the authority actually went to the people who had more money or power, like that we see in the US, for example, the likes of Trump and Putin and all these people are essentially very wealthy people and are actually controlling the world, right? So if we see that there is a progression of that, one leading to the other, and finally we are over here, where
But I'm thinking that I'm seeing that submission continues even today to the
yes,
powerful, to science, because nobody's questioning science also in a way, and we are believing blindly. Just and therefore, I'm wondering if we are going forward. So will submission continue, and will struggle also continue, or this is because up till now everything is one is culminating into the other, so the previous element is still being lived. It's not that it's changed in the next phase, at least in this submission phase and the age of struggle. I see that there is an overlapping, or it's
yes, there
continuing.
is an overlap, and science is being challenged now. Like when we are actually reaching the limits of this planet Earth, the solutions that science is suggesting are not, science and technologies are suggesting, are not able to actually give the will not lead to human survival. The technology does not have the answer for
Hmm.
s- for solving this present situation. Science and technology does not have the answer. So only the understanding of uh, is has the answer for moving forward.
And what about the element of faith in the higher power? I mean, I have heard Baba talk about um, uh, what does he call higher beings? I don't know हिंदी में क्या word बोलते हैं, जो और अच्छी जो सोल्स है, आत्मा है, जिन्होंने समझा है, वो हमारे साथ हमेशा बनी रहती हैं जब हम इस रास्ते पर चल पड़ते हैं. When we start walking on the path of wanting to understand, then their presence, they are there guiding us, holding us. So that element of faith
No,
is
that's not faith actually. They
okay.
are
Oh.
also humans and the jivans with the understanding, and they are only guiding us to live in a humane fashion. We are not we are not basic. What is being said here is not to submit to them
Hmm.
or to actually believe in them or to worship them. That is not what is being said here. It is
Okay.
being said that you basically their guidance is there. We need to accept their, and their guidance is for living wisely. That is all their guidance is for.
Hmm.
Mm,
So it's not
mm.
blind faith. It's guidance, not yeah.
More like inspiration.
Yeah, it's like inspiration. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So it's
So
about
it's
time. Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
जी भैया.
Geez. So thank you everyone for participating in today's session. It was very nice, thought provoking. And hope to see all of you next week as well. Mhm.
जी. जी.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next
Namaste.
week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste.